Hello, welcome back to the Midweek Mastery Call. I'm Abby Cameron. I am a confidence coach for women. So I basically help women master their mindset, set healthy boundaries, and step into their most confident selves. So these midweek mastery calls are just a quick, powerful way for us to check in, refocus, and get back to your most confident self. Today's topic is back to busy. Yes, it is the end of summer. So we're going to talk about how to keep your mindset steady when life starts to speed up. So, August marks this return to structure, this turn to demands on our time and distractions. Summer was great, but now it's time to get rolling. It can be both energizing. I love the start of a new school year. It just feels like this extra bonus for the end of the year to kind of push through and do something exciting. But it can also be incredibly overwhelming. There's a lot that has to happen between now and the end of the year. So today is going to be about reclaiming your mindset so that you can actually lead yourself through that busy season with a lot of clarity and very little chaos. So I'm going to be sharing with you 3 different mindset exercises that you can use to really invite in that calm and invite in that clarity. So the first thing that I actually want you to do is let's just settle in. Even me, like I'm kind of fumbling on my words. I need to settle in here. Let's just take a nice deep inhale through our nose and expand our bellies. And an exhale through our mouths. Just a deep breath, settle into where we are. Let go of the chaos, decide to give yourself this time just to learn some new mindset tricks so that you can get back out there. So, what is the actual mental cost of busyness? I don't know about you, but this summer has flown by so incredibly fast. And I feel like I'm sort of on repeat with that statement where life just seems to be getting faster and faster. And people ask how you are. And my response always is, I'm just so busy. What is the mental cost of that? So, what usually happens during these times of busyness is we have a tendency to have more mental clutter. There's more urgency. There's more tendency to be perfect, to make sure that we're doing everything. When life speeds up, our thoughts do too. So time's going by faster because more things are getting scheduled, life happens, and then our mind decides to try to keep up, unless we choose to do something about them. So the reason why I wanted to point that out is because busyness is not a condition. It is not an identity. We are not just busy. That's not something that exists. It is actually a choice. So I want to introduce this idea today that mindset isn't just what we think about, but it is how we relate to what we think about. Okay, so yes, we're noticing all of those thoughts that are coming into our head, but how do we relate to that? Do we decide to get caught up in it? Do we decide to let it sort of take over and run the show instead of being more intentional and more thoughtful about what we're doing and where we're choosing to spend our time? So let's jump into those 3 mindset shifts that I wanted to share with you. The first one is talking about going from reaction to intention. So there is a difference between reacting from stress, which is what we typically do when our nervous systems are in that place of fight or flight. We just react. And there's a difference between that and responding with clarity. You can actually do it. So I'm going to show you a really quick formula, and this is live, so I actually don't have a slide for you, but if you want to sign up below in the show notes, you will be able to have some information sent to you later. But the formula is this. So write this down if you have a piece of paper and something to write with. It's 4 words I'm going to have you write down: event, emotion, thought, behavior. Event, emotion, thought, behavior. So this is the formula for what happens for every experience we go through. First, there is an event. That is completely out of our control. It's whatever is happening externally. Maybe it's a conversation that you're having with somebody. Maybe it's something that's happening in politics. Maybe it's something that's happening to your child. Maybe it's a conflict that you're in. Whatever the event is, it always starts there. There is an event that's outside of our control. After that event, what happens? The first thing that happens is And it happens so fast, it doesn't even register most of the time in our minds because our body operates, our nervous system operates so much faster than our mind. So the second thing that happens is there's an event, our physical bodies have an emotional reaction to it. Okay, because emotion is actually a physical event. Emotion, energy in motion. So this event happens, naturally our body responds. Again, we don't really have a lot of control over that either. It is an automatic nervous system response that feeds off of past experiences, it feeds off of our conditioning, our values, our limiting beliefs, but this emotion happens. Okay, let's say it's an uncomfortable emotion, something that we don't want to experience. Then, from that emotion, we're going to start creating a thought about it. Okay, so if it's an uncomfortable emotion, we're going to attach a thought to it. Let's say that we have a conflict with a friend. Okay. And we have an emotion about it. Maybe we're really angry. Maybe they've said or done something that just pisses you off. Okay. That's the emotion. You're going to feel that anger in your body in some way. Maybe you start to sweat. Maybe your heart races a little bit. Maybe you feel some constriction in your chest or your hands kind of clench a little bit. There will be a physical response. Okay. After that, there's a thought, I am so angry. I can't believe she did that. What does she think she's doing? Who in their right mind would do that? Whatever thought comes, okay? Again, those thoughts are all based on the past, like our past traumas, the things we've been taught to believe, our own ego trying to protect us and keep us safe. Then what happens is we take those thoughts and it rolls into a behavior. Maybe we decide to lash out and get really defensive with our friend and yell back at her. Maybe we ghost her and give her the cold shoulder and just stop talking to her for a long time. Maybe we sit there and stew about it, like, oh my gosh, and you just sit with it. Maybe it leads you to numbing behaviors. Like it makes you so mad and upset that you want to do anything to get out of that feeling. So maybe you're doom scrolling. Maybe you engage in drinking an extra glass of wine. Okay, that's the behavior part. The reason why I wanted to share this formula with you is because when we are talking about shifting our mindset from reactivity to intention, it happens right there in the thought phase of this formula. So the event is out of our control. The emotion, for the most part, is also out of our control. It's our body's physical response, but the thought is actually our choice. Okay, that is actually our choice. So once we actually physically feel something, the first thing that we need to do is take a moment to pause. We want to really think about it. So here's a mindset practice in that pausing space. Like you're like, okay, Abby, I'm pausing. What do I do? Good question. Here's what you do. You're going to do something called the mindset reset. Mindset reset. And there's a couple of check-in questions that you are going to ask yourself when you go to pause in that moment. The first question is what am I thinking? Okay. So many times this is just habitual that we don't realize, we don't have the awareness that we're even thinking about it in the first place. So once you get past that emotion, you felt it, ask yourself this question, what am I thinking? What am I thinking? Is this thought actually helpful to me in some way? Or is this just a habit? Is this just how I normally respond or react to these situations? What would I choose to believe instead? This is where the mind shift happens. Okay, it shifts in this place when you start to ask yourself, what would I like to believe instead? What would I choose to believe instead? Because it is a choice. And then from there, the part that's going to change that we actually have control over is our behavior. So let's take this example of you're in a conflict with a friend. She's done something to upset you. You get to the thought phase, you pause, you ask yourself what you're thinking. Is it helpful? Is it beneficial? How would you like to think different? And then that's going to change your behavior. Maybe you decide like, okay, wow, yeah, I really did have a part in this. Okay, not that she's completely dismissed from her behavior, but maybe you can own up to something that you did and you can go have a conversation. Maybe you can go release some of the anger, realize that you're really upset, but then come back to what's really important to you, which is maybe repairing the relationship. So then you go and have a phone call with her from a very calm, centered place instead of a very defensive, reactive place. All right. So that mental reset is a list of questions for you to do a check in when you pause in the thought stage so that your behavior starts to change. When your behavior changes, that's when we stop feeling all of the chaos and all of the like, ugh, all of the running around like crazy, just always trying to keep up. We actually can come from a place of calm and clarity. So, mind shift number 2, we're going to talk about going from proving to prioritizing. When life starts to speed up, when we need to start thinking about how we're relating to what we think, this mindset shift is going to be incredibly helpful because there is an internal pressure on all of us to do it all, right? All of a sudden, I'm the perfect example, right? I am a business owner. I work from home. I have kids. I have responsibilities as a partner. All of a sudden, we've gone from this great kind of lazy summer rolling right back into sports schedules and new school schedules and work commitments and contracts and clients that I'm following through with. All of a sudden, it can get really loud and really overwhelming. So there's a pressure for me to do it all, to perform perfectly in every single area. It's an internal pressure. There's a reframe, a mindset reframe that I want you to think about if you find yourself in this place as well. Not everything is urgent. And I have to remind myself of this as well. Not everything is urgent. Not everything gets to come with me into the fall. Okay? You're like, again, great. What's not going to come with me? Because everything feels urgent. So here's an exercise that you can do. I want you to create the enough list. Every day, you're going to name 3 things that will be enough. Just enough. If you did these 3 things, that's enough for today. That's enough. We're going to take it day by day. So these become your filter for focused. They become your filter to gain that clarity and then also to actually get things done. Because I don't know about you, but when I'm really overwhelmed and I have a list of 10, 15, 20 things that I think have to happen in this day, I can't hardly get any of them done. I'm too overwhelmed with how much there is to do to actually start doing something. So the enough list is to take away all of that chaos, really sort through what is enough, what is the one thing, the 3 things that I actually need to do today, and just focus on those. Focus on completing those things today. If you want to write about this a little bit, you want to dive a little bit deeper because an internal drive, an internal pressure can really cause a lot of havoc in our minds. So here's a journal prompt for you. If I didn't need to prove anything today, what would be enough? If I didn't need to prove anything, what would be enough? All right, let's roll into the 3rd mindset shift. So we're going to be talking about going from external pressure to an internal anchor. All right, so the last mindset shift was more about that internal pressure that we're putting on ourselves. And now we're going to take a moment to talk about the external pressure. So what happens is when we start to roll into these seasons of busyness, oftentimes the outside noise starts to amplify. Okay, our thoughts sort of start rolling a lot. So then all of a sudden, the expectations, the opinions, the comparisons to other people start to get a lot louder in our practice. You don't have to match their pace. You only need to match your own values. So understanding what's important to you, understanding that if you didn't have to prove something like from the last shift, if you didn't have to prove something and just find out what's enough, that's going to match your values. We do not have to keep up with the pace of everybody else. Oftentimes that's what gets us into so much trouble is we start worrying about what everybody else is doing. We start being concerned about keeping up with everybody else. What if that's not in our best interest? Most of the time it's not. What Jane is doing over here may not be great for Abby. Okay. So reminding yourself that I do not have to match their pace, I just need to match my values will actually keep you in a place of alignment and allow you to kind of take that deep breath and find some clarity. So, the way that you can practice this mindset shift is by creating some anchoring statements. So, it's a statement that's going to help you return to your internal self trust. So, that inner anchor that I'm talking about, what do you already know? What do you need to trust that you know is in your best interest? A couple of examples of anchor statements are my energy is mine to protect. That is a perfect one because if you allow it, people will come and take your energy if you are giving it. That's only going to lead to burnout and overwhelm. So, anchoring is my energy is mine to protect. I lead myself first. Okay, you're the first person that you have to lead before you decide to go lead anybody else. I don't rush clarity. Give yourself some space, give yourself some time. I don't rush clarity. Busy is not my badge of worth. Ooh, that's a good one. Busy is not my badge of worth. So many times, what I find with my clients, the reason why they choose busyness is because they've somehow attached the limiting belief of if I'm not busy, then I don't have value. If I'm not busy, I'm not worth anything. If I'm not busy, I'm not a good mother. If I'm not busy, I'm not a good partner. I'm not a good colleague. Fill in the blank. So, busy is not my badge of worth. You can choose not to be busy and still offer a ton of value. So, I encourage you to write one of these anchoring statements. And again, I will send some of these out. So if you want to sign up at the end, you'll get an email with some of these examples so that you can create your own. But I want you to write one on a sticky note. Or that's something that I just did recently. I don't know if you can see it, but got to clear on my screen. I actually put it on a sticky note and I just put it on my lock screen so that anytime I need to be reminded to come back to my anchoring statement, this thing's with me all the time. Just hit my lock screen and then I can read that statement so that I can reground. So write it on a sticky note, either take a picture of it, use it for your lock screen, or post it somewhere where you are often, the kitchen, your desk, the bathroom, wherever it is. All right, so let's talk a little bit about integration. If you want to dive into this topic a little bit, take a moment to write down these journal prompts. What is one mindset that you want to carry into this fall season? So, what is a mindset that you want to carry into this fall season? Is it clarity? Is it calm? Is it confidence? Is it boundary setting? Like you want to be a little bit more of a no and less of a yes, so you don't want to give your energy away as much? What mindset do you want to carry? Because again, for you to anchor back into yourself, you kind of have to know what you want to anchor into your values. So spend some time thinking about it. And then write about one mindset that you're ready to leave behind. What is one mindset that you want to leave behind? So write those down for some journaling or just even some quiet reflection or even reflect with a friend. That's a great way to process and sort of set the tone in place for the intentions for what you really, really want. So one mindset mantra that I'm going to take into the fall is I lead myself first, because I've been doing kind of my own reflection and my own work. And what I've realized is I've allowed myself to give a lot of my own energy away. And I cannot give from an empty vessel, right? So I need to be able to lead myself first. So what does that mean? That actually means by leading myself first, I actually need to put some of these mindset shifts into practice. And I need to pull back my energy in a protective way a little bit more so that I can keep filling myself up so that I have more to give for everybody in my life in any capacity. So I'd love to hear which one you chose. So if you want, please leave it in the comments so that I can support you in that way. So, all right, this kind of ends the mindset midweek mastery call, for this particular month. Let's just kind of recap the 3 shifts that we talked about today and the practices. So the first practice is that mental reset check-in when we're trying to go from reactive to intention or to responsive. You're going to do mental reset, that mindset reset, asking yourself those questions. Then there's the enough list. What are the 3 things you're going to write down every single day that are enough? So that you're not putting so much pressure on yourself to perform. And then you're going to create an anchoring statement. What is that statement that when all this external noise gets really loud, what are you going to come back to so that you can come back to that trust that's within yourself? Remember, when life speeds up, the most powerful thing you can do is slow down your thoughts. Because when life speeds up, we have the choice to do so. We can either think with that pace, our thoughts can get really wrapped up in that speed, or we can take the time to do the opposite and actually slow down. So I invite you to take a look at some of my coaching if you're interested. If you want to not just learn these shifts, but actually truly live them, coaching is where we can start to practice that, because together in real time, we can take a look at your life, where you're stuck, some of those limiting beliefs, the things that are holding you back, where you get caught up in the mental chaos, and we can really work on untangling all of that. So if you're interested in coaching in any capacity, either an equus session with a horse or virtual, doing one-on-one coaching, visit indigocoaching.net. From there, you can set up a free consultation call where basically we can kind of discuss what your needs, what you're looking for, and then we can go from there. So really low commitment, just jump on a call with me and let's talk about it. Other than that, all right, thank you so much for joining me today. And don't forget, start working on your mindset shifts, and I will see you next month. Take care.